Hey man, how's it going?
Howdy doody, not too bad.
Howdy doody. How are you feeling now these days? You healed?
Yeah, I'm pretty much 95% there. Just a little sniffly every so often.
Sure. So you're
But
okay now.
sleeping like for like 5 days in a row very late, it'll help you recover.
That's true. That's true. A lot of good times for that. Do you dream at all, or is it mostly just the sleeping?
Oh, I had some fun dreams, but I forget what they were. I
Oh,
think I
that
think
always
one I think
happens.
one was more like I think I was working on my computer on one of them, which was just like but my computer was like this super big, like super technical thing. Like each movement I did was a different command kind of thing. It wasn't I hadn't have keyboard or mouse. It just my thoughts and my movements were all like
Oh,
in sync.
similar to like how they do a little bit of that in this episode, maybe when
Kind
they're on
of,
the
yeah. It
internet.
was except I didn't have a suit. It was just kind of just like it
Mm,
knew what I wanted.
sure, sure. Well, I guess that dives us in then. So, welcome everyone to Bite My Shiny Metal Cast, episode 13 of season two, as it was on TV back in the day. This one here was this one a Bicyclops built for two, not bicycle built for two, not a bicyclopsicle built for two, as we are like keep on mistaking it. No, Bicyclops built for two, as we'll see, with kind of a focus on Leela, right? Leela and her journey a little bit more into it, which we got to see a little bit throughout the series, but not as much as this episode. A little bit last episode, right, with the martial arts training and all that. But yeah, we get to see more here. So if we dive right in, no cold opening. We go right into the
Yep.
intro, and we are here. What is that? That closed little caption at the bottom. This episode has been modified to fit your primitive screen. Do you remember those old little displays at the beginning of movies and such? Like this
Yeah,
video has
yeah.
been modified to fit your screen. I like that. That's kind of a
Now,
cool little thing.
now here's something yesterday. So
Hmm.
just a long story thing, but I wanted to watch like what the Beachcombers was on TV, and because the studio I was working for might have that coming up, I'm not sure.
Hmm.
I don't think so. Anyways, I wanted to get to know the Beachcombers a little more. And those who aren't Canadian, the Beachcombers is a 1970s TV show. Most of the cast has now passed away, as I looked it up. But I wanted to watch it on TV, and it was on TV. Just happened to be randomly on TV. I'm like, oh, hey, mom, I want to watch that. Just a little bit of this, just to see what it was like. And as soon as we went to it, I forgot this is just a thing that I just forgot. Widescreens didn't exist in the 70s, so it was that square, perfectly
Yeah,
square
and the
TV.
black bars
He had the
on the
black
right and the
bars on my
left. Yeah.
widescreen TV that my parents have, and I couldn't handle it because I'm just like, I want to see more, but I can't see more.
They
So
didn't have it back
that's
then, no?
yeah, they
Yep.
didn't have it back then. I don't know when the HD aspect ratio came in, but it definitely was during our earlier lifetime. So
Yeah.
I think it
Well,
was kind of like how DVDs all of a sudden were for the rich people, and then when DVDs were for everyone, then it was Blu-ray, and
Blu-ray.
now no one knows because physical media doesn't exist anymore. Um,
Well, do you remember when there was like the war between the Blu-ray and the oh, what was that other one? It was like the red one, and then
I don't
Blu-ray
remember that.
Blu-ray won the battle because nobody was buying the other one. Yeah, no, I can't. That's the thing. I can't
Well,
remember
if,
what
if I
the other
remember
one was,
correctly, I
but they
think
were
like
yeah,
I want to say the first Avatar movie, the James Cameron blue one, Blue People one,
2009.
that came out like 2008, 2009, and I remember that's kind of when Blu-ray was starting to kind of become bigger, but it was also like the DVD cost $30, excuse me, and the
Mhm.
and the Blu-ray cost like 70 or $80, and like who in their right mind would pay double, almost triple the cost for something when you can have it just as good for your current TV at the time, which was probably kind of a newish plasma, maybe
Yeah.
maybe one of the LED TVs. And it was just very funny to me. It's just like I'm not gonna spend that. And
No.
now everyone either
Now it's
owns a
common.
streaming
Yeah.
service,
Yeah,
which you
that's
can
right. So
watch
now nobody
pretty
even
much
has
anything on. Yeah,
DVDs.
yeah.
Yeah,
No
DVDs or
one cares about
Blu-rays.
physical media. Yeah, and I got a new computer like 2 years ago. Doesn't even have a CD-ROM option. Like that's
Yeah,
or yeah,
no, they
it can't
removed
read
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when buying my new computer and everything. Yeah, and it doesn't the option wasn't there anymore. But then yeah, you're right. DVDs and all these things they aren't really necessary anymore to view your streaming services with all your streaming services and everything. But it's funny talking about all these like 20-year-old technology. You think it wouldn't be that you'd think we'd still be using it, especially like over the course of the past couple of decades, but they've advanced so quickly. And we even have like with the opening of this episode, and we go in with, and it's the Planet Express crew, and of course, and a couple little funny jokes or whatever it was with like Nibbler, and he's still like acting as the dog kind of thing, and he gets hit by the mail, and then the professor like steps on him.
I love that, and like Nibbler doesn't even like, he just wait, and then gets
just
back
keeps
up and
running
runs away.
Yeah. But the professor, and he's talking about he's as he goes in, and the rest of the crew are all at the table, right? And he talks to them, and he's like, "Oh, I finally got logged on to AOL after all this time."
That was still kind of early, like that was still early in our age. Like dial-up was a thing. I'm pretty sure exactly. Because my dad was a computer programmer, still is, and I'm pretty sure that we had dial-up and stuff. And I don't remember ever having the, hey, Allison, get off the phone, I need to use the internet for work. I don't remember that at all. I don't think that ever happened, but I do remember the dial-up noise and stuff like that. And AOL,
AOL, the dial-up, that was definitely used in almost all households up until the point of, the
late
introduction
90s,
of the link.
Very early 2000s, maybe.
Exactly.
If you had the money for it.
It's just funny. This joke, I guess you could say, is outdated based on this, because like kids nowadays, no way they're gonna understand this reference.
No,
but
they might from their parents. Like basically people our age who have kids who might be 10, they could explain it to. Like,
but no one's going to explain AOL. Like they're not gonna, unless you're in a group where you're going to have like that joke or something with like, oh, that noise. Remember that noise? But
yeah, your kid could ask what's that, and you can basically say like that was the old way of connecting to the internet, was via phone.
Yes, and then this is the idea, is like once you have this, but I guess the real joke is that it takes forever to do, so they find like 1,000 years in the future. So that, I guess that's what's kind of funny for us, but then that might be transferred over to the next generation because they can understand the speed of what it was, and if they don't understand AOL, but they still have the futuristic technology to put on like the helmet suit, which they do, to go into the internet. And I have to admit, because I know this is around, because I'll mention this a little bit later as well, but there's like this absolute, I don't want to say copy, but like an homage to kind of like to the Matrix. Do you notice this? So like when they go in, and then of course they're plugged into the internet, and they're going through, and they're like these greenish type of like whatever, and they're flying through the air and all this kind of stuff. I love that. I love this idea that the internet is this like physical thing that you can interact with rather than being on a keyboard. I think that was really, really interesting. It's like the futuristic portion of a very past technology, such as AOL.
This was like what, 2005, 2006 at this point? The internet was still relatively not new, but like easy access by the public.
2002.
Right. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah,
2000. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. My bad. I watched a fifth season stuff. So the other day. So this one about 2002. So this is still kind of early internet for the average man, I would say. Because the internet's been around since I think like the 60s for like government and stuff like that. But for the average man, average person, that it's been
to use it willfully in their homes. Yes.
Yeah, easily use it too.
And that's the cool thing about this episode, I think, is that the creators had this foresight, I guess, to kind of like imagine something so productive into it. But I do think there's a lot of influence from The Matrix, which I believe came out in 1999. So they have a few years kind of to work out this kind of idea. But I do really like it for that reason. So they have the characters are going in minus the professor. And they go into this internet, right, with the dial-up and everything, and they're brought into the internet with I think it's the music from 2001, right, A Space Odyssey. Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, dun, 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 right, like that whole thing. And then they were being attacked by ads.
Yeah, the pop-up ads. Those aren't as common nowadays, but maybe that's just because I have ad block on my computer.
You do. They're very popular. They're still very popular.
For people who didn't know that, the guy who created them actually swears like he wish he never made them, which I'm like, you wish you probably could monetize it. Yeah,
exactly.
If you didn't already,
we can talk a little bit about this internet. So we go in there, and it's like this giant metropolis. I do like the joke that half of the place that they visit is all about porn. Like all these towers are just designed just for like porn reasons.
Isn't that how most technology is kind of like upgraded or noticed or become popular? Stuff like that. Like if I remember Tropic Thunder, there was a time where they were doing a montage where that one character was talking about like the battle between DVD and Blu-ray, or maybe it was the other Ray. The red one. Yeah, he was talking about because no porn didn't use it, and then he's like, wait, Are you talking to me? No, I'm talking to everyone. Well, who's listening? No one. No one's listening. No one cares.
Right.
So it's just it's kind of a sad reality that yes, the adult
Adults will.
industry, film industry, kind of pushes technology. At least I'll say probably video
Well,
technology forward.
I'd say the military pushes technology, the porn industry or the adults stuff type of industry really enhances it for the general public, right? They're the ones that kind of
Yeah.
convince people to start using it. If no one wanted to use smartphones, the reason that they wanted to use smartphones is because that way they could watch porn wherever they wanted to go. This is the reason. But on all things there, I find that funny. But I also find Zoidberg's like reaction, like, "Whoa, where are all the guys going?" And then he turned, and it's like, what does he say? Like sardine and mackerel action.
Yeah,
And he's like,
Zoidberg.
being like this giant lobster creature, right? So, anyway, all of them want to do this, however. So they all go and they all find their, chat rooms, as they said, like the filthy chat room and the filthy chat rooms. I really enjoy this idea of physically. Isn't this funny? This is like so. On a side note for this, isn't it kind of funny? A lot of people nowadays with the introduction of social media, right, have difficulty communicating in real life. They can't go anywhere without their phones or talk to a lot of people without certain help from their phones or something. In this universe, or at least in this future, they've designed it so that people are actually their social media is actually socializing. They're actually together. Even if you can kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
change your appearance and everything, like Bender does, right, with the nurse. But everything else, so like people are there and I guess they can say whatever they want, but like what they're saying is actually, what they're thinking. It's not like what they're typing or something.
The
Um,
filter isn't quite there, is what I'm understanding. They speak
yeah,
their mind, like it's just like a
as most
conversation
people
between
would.
people,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, rather than typing it out and then proofreading it or whatever, and going, oh, that doesn't make sense now that I put it down on paper. Delete.
right. And they just like they put
And
on
then
the
you just go to
machines.
not your mother, man.
Right. Well, I do find there's like a couple of things like, where are all the hot chicks? I'm a hot stud. Like that that whole thing, right? Like that seems like something that's typed, right? But then as soon as Leela pops in and says, I'm a woman and I'm looking for someone, I don't play games and all this stuff, and they're all just like terrified over it. Like they don't want to
Oh
talk.
my God,
I'm like,
a
oh
woman.
man. Wow, how times have both changed and
No,
not
no, yeah, no.
changed.
As a person who's on a dating app, that's literally what it is. And like a lot, not everyone, but a lot of the things is like I don't like playing games. I'm like I don't. Do you mean like mental dating games? Like, oh yeah, you're the only one for me, babe. When you have like two other side chicks, or do you mean like Monopoly? No, I don't play games.
It's not that. It's never
I
that.
know, I know. It just is sometimes because I still have a child like mine when it comes to games. It's when they say
What?
that, I mean like, oh, you
You?
want to play a Battleship?
Yeah, I mean I feel like that's a little bit of an endearing quality to you, maybe for a lot of people. So they're like, "Oh, that's a good joke," and you're like, "Yeah,
No, I mean that.
joke."
Yeah, joke. And here's the other one. This one always makes me go, ugh. Is that hopefully you're open-minded. I don't know if that means to conspiracies or to that letting you sleep with other men. No, I'm not
Uh,
open-minded to that one. But conspiracies, yeah, I'm open-minded to
I,
that.
you know what? I think there's a bit of this because I think Leela would be saying something like that too had she been there nowadays. But the reason for it is
Yes.
because like her open-mindedness, of course, is to with her race, with her eye and everything, right? With
Yes.
her
Yeah.
her
There's
feelings.
there's stuff like that which is like I
Yeah.
don't hate any particular one for these stupid reasons.
Hmm.
No, but if you're a jackass, you're a jackass. I don't have to like you.
Right.
Kind of
And
thing.
most people are, well, I shouldn't say that. A lot of people are going to be, but a lot of people who are on there for the right reason. They do want to meet people.
Yes.
For chat room, like if you have something that's called like a filthy chat room, I feel like you're not really there for the right reasons, but at the
No, you're
same
not there
time,
for
you're there
those
for
reasons.
fun, right? Which is what Leela and Amy, because they go to the normal chat, quote unquote normal chat room, but they don't really find anything. Whereas Fry and Bender are clearly there just to have fun, right? That's what these people are for. So
Exactly.
that's the idea there. But unfortunately, there's no takers for Leela that we're aware of when she speaks her mind. So they end up leaving, and then Fry states, I figured you would probably like this. Is probably one of your top scenes, I would say. Fry decides like, oh yeah, I want to do something else. Like, is there something that I can do that's violent, like appeal to my lust for violence? And they talk about a quote unquote video game, as if he didn't have that when he was growing up. And wouldn't you know it, Fry is like the best at playing a video game, which is pretty cool. So what do you think of this video game type of thing? So you're like running around, you're shooting lasers.
Let's think about this first. Okay, so Fry went to the future basically in 1999. So when did the
1999, yeah.
N64 come out? That was like 94-ish, 96-ish.
96, I
So
think.
the type of game that they had in this episode was more
Mhm.
Call of Duty-ish, I would say, like, or any kind of first person shooter nowadays,
First
I'd
person
say.
shooter for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
back then, I think the only thing that might have been out was the 007 James Bond one, which was,
Mhm.
for those who played that game, it was fun at the time. But if you were to play that game nowadays on an N64 controller, you would hate life. It's on the
It's
Switch, I
dated.
believe. If you have the
Yeah.
Switch,
The premium
whatever,
package
the
thing.
premium
Well,
package thing, yes, it's on there,
wasn't
and it
there?
is frustrating as hell.
Well, again, there was, so this episode would have come out around 2001, 2002,
Yeah,
if
but
I'm.
it's, yeah, for the writers and people who were in the real world and stuff like that, computer
Yeah.
games would have been out and stuff like that, and maybe there would be like the early versions of it, yes. But from
Yeah.
how they're playing it, it's like you can run around, hide, and stuff like that. And even then, like today, I think that stuff is still a little above the technology. Like, yeah, you can still hide behind some stuff. And mind you, I haven't played Call of Duty in 4 years and years and years and years,
Yeah.
so I don't know what the new stuff is and stuff like that. I've played some other games where you can crouch and hide, but it's not the same thing that they're portraying here. But I do love the fact that this game is pretty awesome. I would love to have
It
this
looks pretty
game, the
fun, doesn't
version of
it?
this game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Being
the
able to
fact that you
like
can
jump
shoot with
around
with your
and
pointer
yeah.
fingers, like pew 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 pew, and then if
Well,
you want a shotgun, you just pretend it's your face. So,
right.
and you can
Yeah.
do flips and stuff. And I
Mhm.
love Leela in this one because she's like that
Mhm.
jumping like kick thing. I
Yeah.
think,
So
was
that's
it
another Matrix reference.
what's it
That's another
oh, that wasn't
Matrix.
Okay,
That's
that was
Matrix. Yeah.
Matrix.
So I was
It's
gonna
been a
say
while since I've
that's what
seen the
reminded me of the
Matrix.
Matrix as well. Well, no, because you bring up a really good point. It's kind of like these video games, which again, like the foresight of this episode is incredible for the time that it came out. But this is basically virtual reality mixed with a first person shooter mixed with like you can interactable interactable objects
Yeah.
while you're in the internet kind of thing, like when you're in your little suit. So they have all these sensors and everything that they can actually do all these things in this video game. It's incredible because like Zoidberg even has it where he takes his claw and he slides down the thing while shooting at everybody, right? Like
Yeah.
Leela's like how is Leela doing that in real life?
Yeah, right.
Right?
Well,
Like what are
yeah,
they doing?
because
So yeah.
I've seen some cool stuff on the internet for this virtual game. I'm not a big fan of VR just because I have that motion sickness with it. I'm pretty sure it's gotten a lot better since then. But now they
Yeah.
have like contractions where like you're like you put yourself in, like, you remember those old swings where you put kids in,
Yeah, yeah,
where
yeah.
like
You can jump
you had
around.
to
Yeah.
go in like that
Yeah.
weird, not quite a diaper thing, but like basically you're in a
It's like a swing
loincloth.
set. Yeah, I
Yeah.
got you. Yeah, yeah.
So they have that, and they can hold obviously big people, and like it was in like a little circular thing that you can like fake run around in. Like your legs would move and stuff like that, but because you're in the baby Bjorn, basically, you're
Mhm.
not really moving technically, but your legs are running, so you can like pretend you're running and stuff like that. But from the setup that they have here, yeah, they just put on gloves and boots and a visor, and like they're moving in
There's
real life,
nothing. Yeah.
as we see when they come out of it. There's Fry dancing because he won the game, and
Right.
then they take him out and he's still dancing, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
And they're just plugged into the back of their heads. That's basically
it's just
all
one
it
of
is.
those things where you have to like, yeah, it's make
Suspend
believe. Either
disbelief. Yeah.
she's controlling it via the finger gloves or the toe gloves, whatever you want to call it, and or maybe we didn't see this, but there was like cables that came down and lifted them up so they could pretend to walk. I don't know. It's one of those just disbelief things that you're just like, yeah, this is
Right.
funny.
Well, there's also because we know that it must be them already connected to it. So the professor couldn't have connected them because he's trying to disconnect them. He's like, I'm trying to
Right.
use the phone. So that was another
Trying to use
reference
the
to the
phone.
AOL. But he's
Yes,
also
yeah,
trying to like, hey, Leela, would you mind like telling everybody? Because like she's the responsible one. And
yes, she's the
she
captain.
just shoots him too. And he's like, no, 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 we're still fighting. And then Leela and Fry like both tag like destroy him together and all this stuff. Now during their video game, and of course Fry is absolutely dominating. He's
Yeah,
great at this.
he
Yeah, I
killed
love that little
Amy.
shotgun
He
thing that
got
he does.
Ben.
It's so cool. Yeah,
No, no, he got Hermes. Then he got Zoidberg. After Zoidberg had the awesome line of "The
yeah.
doctor is in," bang, 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 bang,
Doctor
and
is
then he gets shot by Fry. The doctor is out.
And then Bender gets beaten by Leela, but not by getting shot. She gets like multiple kicks somehow, right?
Yeah,
Suspended air. He falls into this machine thing. He falls into lava in the level. It's also a platform game. I totally forgot about that too, because he even shoots Donkey Kong. Fry shoots Donkey Kong at the
yeah.
old Donkey Kong. So anyway, they're about to fight, and then wouldn't you know it, this random guy shows up who happens to look like Leela. He's another Cyclops, right?
Purple
Dark
hair,
purple
one
hair, and
eye.
one eye, one giant eye, and he's kind of dressed in like what do you call those? Like a toga, I guess. So like the
Yeah,
old
ancient
fashioned
Greek
toga.
kind of style.
Yeah. So Leela's like, oh my god, another Cyclops, and they're kind of talking. And then Fry kills him, and he gets taken out of the game. So Leela's pissed off. They finish the game. They have a
Yeah,
delivery to make.
Fry's doing his
Yeah,
stupid dance.
yeah, it's a
I
little,
love his little kind of voice. Billy West, man, I gotta love him. He's been in the game for so long. I
and
saw a
so
picture of him recently with fans, and yeah, he's looking a little haggard in his
yeah.
early age of 70s. I think
Oh, he's
he had
old.
too much
Yeah, it's
partying.
whatever it is. Like for the work that he did in the past 20 years, not
30.
including
I
not
think he's been doing
including.
it since the 80s, man. So 40
Oh,
years.
sure. Sorry, I meant just for Futurama sake. But I know
Ah,
he's been other stuff, obviously like Disenchanted and whatever else stuff he did in the past, like the Honeybee and all this kind of stuff. But I think, yeah, that guy has done such great work. It's unfortunate that his voice is now starting to go, and we've discussed this a little bit in the past. That you can definitely hear him, especially with current episodes of the show that
he
came
sounds
back.
more professory than Fry.
He's closer to the age of Professor than
Yeah.
he is to Fry. So
Well,
it's
Fry is like technically what, like 48 or
he's in
something
it.
like that.
Well,
If we want it.
biologically he's about his 40s, yeah,
Yeah.
now. So he's getting older for sure, but everybody else sounds basically the same. The professor sounds more like the professor, if that makes
Well,
sense.
the thing is, all the
Yeah,
actors are like they're. I think the youngest one might be Laura Tom.
she's in her
Uh,
50s, so
yeah,
yeah.
probably early. She just in case, like she was she was in Friends. She was Julie, the girlfriend of Ross. So she's around the same age as Friends.
If anybody
So
ever here watched Friends, yeah, from
yeah,
20, also
that
20
that
years
small
ago.
audience, that small
um
audience, yeah.
but also she was, if you want to go animation, she was also Batman Beyond. She was
The love interest. I can't
Terry
remember her name.
McGinnis's love interest.
Yeah,
Yeah. So no, she's been
awesome,
all
awesome
over the
TV
place as
show.
well. But in any case,
But yeah, I think she's the
Fry,
youngest, so they're all in like their
yeah,
60s, maybe 70s and stuff like
they're
that. And
old.
if you actually look at them and hear them, you can actually hear them. Some of them hold up a little better. No offense to the ones who haven't, but some of them have held up a little better.
But in
Yeah.
any case, we getting back to here, when we
Yeah.
have
Sorry.
our characters are, back at the office because they have to do a delivery, right, to a I guess it's a movie watching culture of Cineplex 14 or something like that, and they have to deliver a whole bunch of popcorn.
That was us in
Mind you
the
though,
2000 teens.
that's me now. I mean, I don't go for the popcorn, but I still go to the cinema. Why not? It's a good time. Go back to the cinema. Enjoy your times there, everybody. But when we go there, and it's the trio, right? So Bender, Fry, and Leela, and they're delivering this giant box of popcorn, and another reference to the past that nobody will remember because it's not used anymore. You got mail pops up, and Leela gets a little message thing from this guy who reveals himself to be named Alcazar, who is the Cyclops that she ran into in the AOL internet thing, and he states, like, come visit me, come see your home planet, and I'll introduce you to yourself, kind of thing. And he sends them coordinates. Leela's like, I can't pass this chance. She dumps the popcorn. It goes into the space and it pops because of the sun. And they've lost a lot of money, but who cares? She's gonna find out about our history. So we get to this planet,
My favorite bit
and
about that was
yeah.
because he called the Fry, was it jackass or dumbass? After I got killed by that dumbass, and then Fry goes and kicked his ass.
Oh, it's like that asshole, or yeah, the
Yeah.
jackass probably is like, I kicked your ass, right? Because I can hear it's a video message. You're right. So they get there, and he shows up, and he's like, okay, here, Lily, I'm gonna show you everywhere, all this stuff, your beautiful place, and all this. And they have like this little lizard creature horse thing or two of them that can pull this little carriage, and it makes a reference that Bender and Fry must be like her servants or something, so they have to walk. But he does this like tour of the area, and he mentions like a pirate, and he mentions like a goddess, and he mentioned there's must be things with this culture, and this place looks very much like you mentioned earlier, like ancient Greece, right? It's like this old style castles and whatever,
Statues,
statues and gems, and with Bender trying to steal everything he sees, basically, right?
mosaics.
But there's one place that catches the attention of Fry, which is the what is it called? The Forbidden Valley, which just literally has a sign that says Forbidden Valley, don't enter. Just a hill. But we find out later what this is. But Fry's a little curious about it, but you know what, he backs off for now because Leela slaps him or whatever, says that's insulting. But yeah, they go back and have dinner. He shows them the castle and all this stuff into their quarters. And then I guess that's mostly it for Alcazar's introduction. There doesn't seem to be much else with it. But as they're sleeping, Leela overhears him crying, albeit a little loudly. Did you think that people who are watching this episode for the first time, do you think he has something up his sleeve right from the get-go?
No, he's a good guy. What are you talking about?
Right. Like, clearly, like, her chamber is right next to his. His balcony is right next to her balcony. He cries quite loudly. When she goes in to investigate what's wrong and try to comfort him, he's like, oh, yeah, well, what, you know what? It's a sad story, and you're going to be cold from all the tears, so why don't you come into my room? Sit with me on my bed. Oh, yeah, you might want to take off your jacket because like our people don't like to be hot. You look a little hot. Like, huh? He's quite smooth, but he's not that smooth. Like, it's a little obvious.
Well, what's the phrase here? Is it rose-colored glasses, or that's more of a like?
No, that's for nostalgic purposes.
Okay.
No, I think you're like seeing
beer goggles?
seeing the best.
Yeah.
Beer goggle. I think it's like just seeing the best out of.
You're not noticing
right?
the red flags, and you're just because it's just like, yeah, one of those. It's a perfect match in every way possible because I'm an alien, you're an alien. Woo.
Yeah, I'm a Cyclops, you're a Cyclops, right? So he tells her this fakes to ruin it, like I'll say true story, quote unquote true story, of how basically it's the origins of Superman. Like this giant meteor, or no, sorry, not meteor, missile that comes from another planet.
The mole people who were jealous of one-eyed Cyclops because they couldn't see, so they fired missiles at every direction, which is impossible to do when you think about it. Because like as a sphere, there's infinite angles and stuff like that, right? So even if
like from everywhere on the planet, they just shot off at every area that the mole people thought of, right, off of there. And unfortunately, one of the 40 planets was their planet.
Yeah, I love it. One of the 40 planets.
I love the joke that like it's like what do you see? How far is it? He's like 100 trillion miles because he has one eye, so he doesn't have depth perception.
Although after a certain point out in space, I'm pretty sure it's one of those things like also when like you're in the ocean underneath and stuff like that, you don't have any comparison to see. So like you can see a shark 100 miles away. That's exaggerating a lot, and it looks like, oh, the shark's not that far away, but turns out it's this little teeny tiny shark that's literally right in front of your goggles, kind of thing, right? There's no
understanding of the distance, right? Yeah, but that's why I love.
It's still a good joke. It's still a very good joke though.
Mole people who are jealous of the people with one eye, but the one-eyed people don't have depth perception to defend themselves against the mole people. Like it's such a he must have been planning that story for so long that he's like, okay, this will make sense, right? If I ever find somebody, okay. Well, I guess, you know what? What about his idea here? So we know that Alcazar is not necessarily who he says he is, but what's his plan? Does he he sees Leela in the chat room. This is how he got the email and all that kind of stuff originally. He sees her in the chat room. He realizes after she states that she's a Cyclops and her only one in her species, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, I can morph into that, no problem. Does he then go home and he creates a fabricated backstory?
Well,
he's okay, mole people.
Spoiler alert here, guys, if you haven't watched it. Alcazar is not. He's a shape-shifting alien whose original form is like a cricket or something like that, some kind of bug,
cricket
right?
thing. Yes. So what do you think it is?
How many people did he swindle? Though? How many people did he swindle?
Well, 5, assuming
people?
that was because all he says at the end. We'll get to the end for sure, but all he says really is that, oh yeah, I wanted these people to marry them and then take care of my 5 castles. Like he owns these castles, but maybe he's always been a con artist for different things. But this is the reason for it. But he's a shapeshifter.
I'm just trying to think. Would he use a similar story of X planet was angry at us because we had blank,
right?
And then they fired one of the 40 planets that they hit for whatever reason.
We don't really learn. Anything about that. We just because it's near the end, right? But we're getting ahead of ourselves. We'll get to that. But I'm curious is how long did it take him to fabricate a story? Because it only took them 2 days, if that, to get to that planet afterwards. Because they finished the internet, which he found out about her. They got their delivery, which we'll say was the next day they left. And then while they're on the delivery, he sends her the email, and then she takes off right away to his planet.
Also,
it couldn't
he
have
has
been
to
that
set
long.
up the planet too,
Of
right?
course.
Because
That's
the other
right. All
ones
the
he had to have the
mosaics.
mosaics, the statues, and stuff like
Right.
that too, right?
Yeah.
So like that's a lot of planning to do
Yeah.
and a lot of money
Purple
to
and
spend.
purple beard
But
the
it's like
pirate. Yeah.
you're asking just about the story thing too. Like my thing is, did he also use a similar story with the other four people, right?
I think he must have. He must have because
Like the
every
people who
single
had
one.
no horns were angry at us because we had one horn, kind of
Right.
thing. So they shot
Yeah.
in every direction because they couldn't figure out where we were or
Right.
something like that. And one of the 40 planets was us, kind of thing.
Right.
Is it the same script? It's just
He
you
just
know
tweaked it.
it tweaked it.
Exactly. No, it must be. It must be because every single castle, as Fry and Bender will talk about in the future here, had a mosaic with the
Yeah,
right color, right amount of eyes, or the right amount of hands,
is
or
the same alien
whatever.
as the
Yeah.
alien was. Yeah.
So I think it was. I think he somehow was able to manipulate everything, maybe with his like rat friends and the pig guy. They
Well,
were able to do something. But
he
yeah,
also
it's
said, "Do
funny.
you have any idea how much a shape shifting tux costs?" So
Right. More than
if you
five
could if you
castles.
could more than five castles who you've decorated to be the same, like let's think about this here, or
No, it's
or
it's crazy.
or maybe we don't know. Maybe this planet is very very big and has a little section for each race to ever exist,
Right. Right.
and of which he just knows of the five.
Right.
Which in case doesn't make sense because Leela is technically human.
Exactly. So this is also playing off that, but I do know that because
We're
they
overthinking
do
pretty hard here. We're having
well,
fun doing it. We're having fun doing it
absolutely.
though.
But the point is, it is definitely possible for someone to do this, but you have to be very, very, very smart in order to do that. And then Alcazar it doesn't come across as
No,
smart
he
near the
doesn't
end
come
of
off
the
as
show,
smart.
so it's unfortunate. But he's definitely smart enough to get them hooked, but then he can't really keep up the act once they're hooked, right? Like once they know. So he knows that all these women are desperate. So he's actually like, there's been a lot of like horrible people in the past couple of episodes to Leela, like with with this guy and like Master Miyagi guy, the what was his name, Snog. Like these guys are absolutely horrible to Leela, but she puts up with it because she doesn't know who she is quite enough, right? Like she wants to know more about herself. She tries to understand herself more, right? So it is very much a developing thing for Leela. But it turns out, of course, Alcazar is a complete jerk to her, and they wake they wake up. I have this like little funny bit when like he wakes up and he like coughs and he does this horrible thing waking up and he's like, oh my god, like could you go make me some coffee? She's like, what do you want with that? He's like, eggs and bacon. Or sausages and bacon or whatever. Like, go make me breakfast. Like, this is in the attic and that's in the basement. Like, go do it all yourself. And he just goes back to sleep. Like, just complete asshole. Now, I don't think you would have watched this show, but you probably know of it. I watched a little bit of it, but I wasn't old enough to really enjoy it that much. Did you ever watch Married with Children?
I know of it, and I like oh crap, who's the actor who
The
plays
actor.
Al?
Yeah, I'm forgetting because he's also in Modern Family, right?
Yeah,
He's
which
the
that
granddad,
I
right?
did highly watch. Yeah.
So yeah, Modern Family you watch. I think he's a completely different character in there, right? He's actually like a caring character, right? A caring person in that
Yeah.
show, right? I don't really watch Modern Family, but Al Bundy, who he plays in Married with Children, is definitely not that. In fact, he's a very sarcastic and very mean person for a lot of people. And Katie Seagal, who plays Leela, was his wife in this. So there's a fun little bit about like her with her hair up and what she's wearing and their little
Al, oh
banter.
Al.
Yes. Oh yeah. And he asks her to call him Al because Alcazar, Al Bundy. This is very 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 smart episode writing for these
Yeah,
scenes.
and for the longest time you thought that the guy who played Al was the voice for this guy, which it
I
was
honestly
not.
thought that he was because I thought that would be too perfect. I thought that would be great. But yeah, it turns out no. I think it's David Herman.
Yeah, probably.
Sounds like David Herman. But yeah, so he has like this whole thing, and he has a couple of friends that she doesn't know, who's this before mentioned rat family and the pig man or something. So they're just like not nice people. They're all just these asshole people who watch her work and do this stuff. She's basically a slave now, and
Eh,
Fry's
slave
well,
by love, like
no.
servant.
Slave by desperation. She wants to preserve
There
the
we go. Yeah,
Cyclops
yeah, yeah.
race, right? She doesn't
That's
like him. She hates him, in
no.
fact, and he just wants her to take care. Like, he's not even a Cyclops, which we know. But this is the whole point of this, right? So Fry sees this. Fry says like this is not good for Leela because he cares about Leela, obviously, especially this early on in the series, but maybe more so as a friend, I guess. And he
Oh,
decides to try.
he still has like infatuation for her.
Yeah, for sure. Like yeah, like it's just they're not quite romantic yet, I guess. Like more of that infatuation as you mentioned. So he decides to go and try and find dirt on Alcazar by going to the valley, the Forbidden Valley, and he jumps the fence to do it, and it just leads into a trap door.
Instantly a trap door.
Yeah,
I love that. It's not even like over the fence. Haha, that's step one. No, just over the fence
just
into the hole.
and that's like the one place. So again, like that must have been just like he just like, okay, you know what? Someone's gonna jump in here one day. I'm just gonna put it right in front of this fence.
Yeah,
Somebody's
exactly.
gonna jump
All
there.
the planning that this guy had to do to make this planet with the 5 cities, and I love the fact that it has like he has signs everywhere, even like Forbidden Valley this way. It's this way.
Yeah, and there's like
And
another sign that says permissible valley over here. Like it's like a different
yeah,
direction sign. So like he clearly is like he's either trying to manipulate people to go jump over that because like of course if there's a fence that says don't cross, you're going to go over that one fence, right? So that's why he's put that little dungeon there. But it's also that he doesn't want people to figure out that he's conning them. So like what's his angle? Like what is he thinking? He's just either too smart or he's too dumb to figure out what he wants. But in any case, Fry
I think
gets
it's a
captured.
bit of both. Like it's just like you have
Maybe he's
you can have the most
overconfident.
complicated planet ever, but there's gonna be holes and pieces here and there, no matter what. Because his entire plan wasn't to bamboozle all of them. It was just to bamboozle Leela.
Leela, that's right. If Fry and Bender didn't show up, she would have been no problem.
Oh yeah,
Bamboozled. Yeah. So Fry gets caught. He's in this dungeon, which the running joke of this dungeon is that it connects everywhere in the castle. Like he can go anywhere. And he's like little what'd you call that? Like a little half window on the bottom.
It's like a basement window, but with bars
Yeah,
on it, this kind of thing, right?
So he can like have dinner with them. And
I love that. Yeah, just like, hey, can you let Fry out? Jeez, Leela, I'm not Superman here. This is where they had this is where they had the Married with Children banter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I just love the fact that she gives him a taco and he's so good.
So he hasn't eaten in like a few hours only. So he's like, oh yeah, it's so good. He makes a joke, of course, about his like he goes to the bathroom wherever he can, like an animal. And like most animals go in the corner. And he's like, the corner. Why not?
That's my favorite joke of this entire episode. I think it's just the corner. Oh my god, I didn't even think about it because I didn't think about it either. So.
I feel like you just go somewhere where you're not going to be.
Yeah,
right? So he's
exactly.
not going to go by the window. He shouldn't go by the door. He shouldn't go by like his food area. But Fry is Fry, right?
Yeah.
So in any case, although Al is a real asshole, as we've talked about, Leela is desperate to continue the Cyclops race, which she still believes him to be, and he proposes to her under the stance of this, and she accepts. Fry doesn't like it, but got to do what you got to do kind of thing. And she invites, I guess Leela doesn't have a lot of friends or obviously not her family, but she doesn't have really a lot of friends, but she just invites the co-workers from Planet Express who show up all dressed nicely and everything. And I think the professor walks her down the aisle. Hermes plays like the piano for their wedding song. They got the preacher bought, Amy's there for reasons. I don't know why. There was one joke I had one joke I thought was pretty funny with Zoidberg as she's walking down the aisle and he's like crying. He's like, "Oh, that pig is wearing the same sandals as I." I'm like, that's what he's crying about. Which then if you freeze frame on like the pig man, he is actually wearing Zoidberg's sandals. So it's kind of a weird little joke that if you blink, you'll miss it kind of thing. You don't really pay attention to it. So in any case, Fry gets out and he convinces Bender to go and, try and figure out how to get Alcazar because he knows that this is not right for Leela. And they do make it to the Forbidden Valley and they find out this castle that they find next is actually the exact same castle and everything. But of course it has statues and mosaics and pirates with 5 eyes versus 1 eye. So they realize something's up and it cuts back to the wedding. So Alcazar is trying to hurry up the preacher with all this stuff because he's a robot. He can do that. And right before she says, I do, here comes Fry to the rescue. And 4 other brides, all completely different creatures, show up. and reveal that Alcazar is indeed not a Cyclops. He is, would you say, like some kind of cricket, right? Some kind of cricket monster, cricket alien.
Think of creepy things, creepy crawlies. There we go.
Yeah, some kind of weird things. This green, short, little green, ugly creature, and one more joke about his male part not being to the correct size that it should be or something, because he can shapeshift. Like, why can do that? And they do one more little right. And we finish off with Leela saying, like, oh, I can't believe I was swept under that. Like, I was so desperate to discover who I was. I didn't know like who I was becoming. I don't know who I am, kind of thing. And they have this little feeling that one day she'll be able to meet her real family and find her real planet, because how many planets could there be, right? And it leaves it off there. So that's that. But overall, I think this episode is also very funny. Like, even Raging Bender was funny, but this one's like, just, there's a lot more laughs I find for myself.
This one's better. Yeah, this
sure.
one's better. Raging Bender was funny, but this one's got better humor. I think it's written a little more well. Plus, we are overanalyzing it quite a lot here. How did he get 5 castles and do all this and stuff like that, right, and then not be able to afford a tux for more than one day?
Well, we also forgot, like, how is it that he's able to spend so much time away from each one of these women in different places and they don't know where he is, kind of thing, right? Because he's supposed to be like their king, whatever, supposed to be in their castle kind of thing, right? So, like, where does he go for like 4 days at a time? Because he switches different princess or different women every time, right? But yeah, I think overall very funny. Yeah, what do you think about the brides, and as an animator yourself, what do you think about like those animations with the aliens? Like, there's the rhino woman and the quintalops, right? The 5-eyed lady and the weird squiggly girl one and all this stuff. What do you think of their designs?
They're very alienistic. I do like it. Because you could have just had them be like the same as like humans, but just different colored skin that isn't human colored. And you could have like maybe an extra arm or something. But these are very funny.
Completely different. Yeah, completely.
We
different
haven't seen them before, so that's another thing. They're not boring Star Wars aliens of today, is what I'm saying. They're like the Star Wars aliens from the original series.
Right. They're not just like human-esque type of aliens.
Yeah, they're just not. You're a yellow human, like a full bright yellow human with green hair. Boom, alien guys. Look,
it's easy to put the makeup on, Mitchell.
Yes, yeah. It costs $0 in CG. It costs maybe $20 in makeup, kind of thing. Boom, there we go.
Sure. But you would say your favorite joke was the corner one? Was that what you were thinking?
I think there's like 3 here that I like. I like the corner one. I think is probably my all-time favorite. The corner. Why did I think of that? Sure. And I think the one where they're in the video game. Fry, you jerk! I was talking to him. Oh, I'm sorry, Leela. Please, bang, Leela, and then he's like,
right.
And he's out there dancing.
Dance. Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay.
And then the other one too is how Alcazar lived through the entire planet getting blown up. He was in a pool getting a possum,
fishing out a dead possum. Right. All right. Because the missile hit the planet and like apparently blew up the planet, which is why it looks like it's
everything
ruined,
on fire.
But he was underwater, so he didn't get hurt. Right?
Not even like far underwater. He was under a pool amount of water fishing out a dead possum, and he got out and went, oh.
And so there's another thing too. So Alcazar in that scene, apparently, right? Because Leela is obviously the story is completely fake, but like she's hypothesized to be the little baby that was being sent off in the ship, right? So she's like, we'll say less than a year old, and Alcazar is clearly like 17 or something.
He's adultish age here. Yeah.
So like that puts him at like almost 20 years older than Leela is in that specific instance. So yeah, I guess he's been doing that a long time. But it's just funny to think of that. Like, why didn't they make him like a kid and he was hiding in the pool? Like, why was he fishing?
He was playing Marco Polo in the thing. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, this is still. I don't know. It's just, I don't like to think about too hard about that bit. But yeah, you are right. Like he's an adult and she's a baby, which is weird then. But 18 years later, it's okay.
Right. He's in his late 30s essentially, or early 40s maybe. So yeah, it's just kind of a funny situation there. Mine, I do like the corner one. I also do. I don't know why I love just the beginning part of this. Like, it makes me laugh just seeing like the male shoot at Nibbler. He runs away and the professor step on him. I don't know why. It's just funny. Like, everybody goes about their business. Like, that's all Nibbler's there for. He shows up at the wedding, but that's all he's there for. And then yeah, the Bender thing when he's like trying to steal, he's like, oh, I think I'm all stolen out. He's
Oh,
like,
right.
what?
Yeah,
He
that one.
slaps him, and he's like, oh, what do I think? It's like, and he sings that song. He's like, oh, I love stealing. Oh, I love taking things.
Yeah,
So
those two are very good too. But those are my top five. We'll say all five of the things we said were those are my top five.
yeah, no, fair enough. And your MVP for the episode.
Fry, because he saved Leela.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, me too. I think Fry just because he's just has the best lines of this episode. Oh, and with when he's on that lizard thing and they're trying to go into the hidden
Oh,
valley, he's like, jump boy, and it just runs right through. He's like, good boy. So, no, very good episode. So that was, yeah, Bicyclops built for two, right? With the Leela Focus one. And yeah, I guess we'll for next time, and we'll see after Bicyclops how Hermes requisitioned his groove back, which is,
love that one.
I was gonna say, like, if Raging Bender was good, this one was arguably better. Like you and I both agreed. How Hermes requisitioned his groove back is also like top notch. It might even be better than this one was in terms of humor. But yeah, when that time comes, we'll have to wait and see. So thank you so much, Mitchell, for joining me, and see you next time.
See you next time.